Every Thursday night, 9 p.m., Iconic Cafe hits the digital radio airwaves with the best in home interviews and cooking. Be sure to check out Iconic Cafe Mishawaka Facebook page for upcoming and archive shows. Now that's iconic.
Come back to Mishawaka for some home cooking, whether you're out late at night or up early in the morning. Featuring Dog and Suds root beer, iconic cupcakes, homemade biscuits and gravy. The Iconic Cafe, 215 North Main Street, Mishawaka.
All right, welcome. Hey, glad to have you. Iconic Radio. Bruce Tassell here. We got Mark Modlin joining us. But first, I got to take care of Mr. Bill McDonald and, of course, our sponsors. So Thursday night, Phoenix Grill has open jam. Friday night, Big Act Joe Feingold Project. And Saturday, Art and the Artichokes are back. It'd be worth seeing them. Haven't seen them in a while. Five-Star Dive Bar has open jam. Johnny Sprocket on Friday and Attention Deficit on Saturday. Cheers Pub open jam on Thursday. Lost Hill Profits on Friday. Fortune 4000 DJ night on Saturday. And, of course, Rock Sports Bar Friday night has Brian Blush. So it'll be great shows this weekend. Of course, Sunday coming up, we know it's Super Bowl. There will be a Super Bowl pregame show with Steve Willis and Steve Detterman, and that's from 1 to 4 p.m. And also we'll have a live remote coming from the Phoenix, and that is a celebration of life for Alan Lowell. And that'll be noon, February 1st. Live remote. And, of course, no Funk and Groove till next Saturday. So we're all waiting to get back on that. And another thing, Adam Nelson, I always want to shout out to him. He is doing a comedy night this Friday. That'll be at Mr. G's. And it's Brett Eastburn coming in. The main act, and Colton Cole, and that'll be at Mr. G's. Show starts at 10 p.m., and it's a $5 cover, so we'll get more with those. Mark, I've known for many a years, great friend, and he is an Amerispec, Inspection Services. He is the owner of it. So, Mark, how you doing this evening?
Bruce, I'm doing great, thank you.
Well, glad to have you. Why don't you introduce us all to what Amerispec's all about and home inspections?
All right. Well, Amerispec is a home inspection service company, and just like you said, we do home inspections for real estate transactions. So if you're a buyer or a seller, you can order a home inspection. It's always good to know what you're buying or what you're selling, and we can give you a very good idea of that with a full inspection.
You know, people, even me, I bought and sold houses. What actually is a home, is that the roof? I mean, what does it all cover? Or can you buy just inspection on a roof only? Well,
it's kind of a shopping menu. You can get as much or as little as you want. But a general home inspection is just that. It's an inspection of the general conditions of the existing home. So that would include things like the chimney, the roof, gutters and downspouts, the exterior facade of the house, doors and windows. It includes the mechanical equipment of the home, the electrical systems, the plumbing systems, the HVAC systems. We look at the garage floor, basement, and the structural portions of the home, which would be floors and ceilings and roof trusses. Just a real general idea of what the home is.
And how long has this been going on? I mean, has this been going on for years since real estate's been in business, home inspections, or do you think it's something that started more recently?
Home inspections is relatively a new concept. Really started growing in the mid-1980s.
Oh, really? That new?
Yeah,
Wow.
it is that new. A lot of folks would have, their friends or family come over and walk through a house, or, they'd have an uncle or a father that was a carpenter, and they would look at the house before they made an offer or bought a home. And then it just kind of grew into a business where these guys were saying, we should just do a general home inspection on every home that is sold. So it started in about the mid-1980s, and in the early 2000s was the boom time when a lot of homes were being inspected.
Yes.
A lot of new inspectors were coming on the market.
And what I like about you, you got such a great history with construction, so you really do know the difference of what is good and what isn't.
We opened as a commercial, industrial, and residential roofing company in 1984, and our inspection business grew out of the roofing operation. We would go to a house where we were making a roof repair, and people would say, "You're out here doing a roof repair. Why didn't we have you do the home inspection?"
Good point.
Kind of gave us the idea that maybe that was a viable business, and so in 1996 we incorporated as Roof Consultants of Indiana. And when the Amerispec franchise became available in 2004, we bought the franchise for Northern Indiana.
Well, sorry, boy, the phone's ringing there. That's great with it. If someone's going to get just one thing done on their house, an inspection, what would that be?
Well, I think it would be just a general home inspection. What I am most concerned about in homes is water issues. And water comes from roof leaks, plumbing leaks, and foundation leaks. The resulting water can cause mold and high humidity in the homes. And really, that's what you need to be concerned about. And I really focus on the water concerns of the home.
Right. So, like people would look in their basement, just anywhere, like their downspouts, if they're made properly with it. I mean, there's a lot of issues where water can be an issue.
That's right. And the exterior of the home is something that you need to be concerned about. Proper water drainage at the perimeter of the house, like you'd mentioned, downspout extensions to manage the roof water away from the house, and grade improvements near the foundation so that any water that hits the ground flows away from the house. So those are a couple of things that we look for and recommend during a general home inspection.
Now, if I'm just ready to buy a house, would I call you personally, or would it be through a realtor? They come through, or?
You can do it either way. A lot of times you can call the title company that's going to handle the closing on your house.
Okay.
And the title company will make a recommendation of several home inspectors, and you can choose Amerispec to do that inspection.
Okay.
Or you can call us direct.
Right. Do you have a website or something, or Facebook, anything for people?
Yeah, we do have a website, and that website is www.amerispec.net/looksee, LOOK-SEE.
Something you made up yourself there?
Well, actually, it was a term my grandfather always
wow, this goes some generations there.
He always says, well, let's go have a look-see at this, and it's just something he always said, and so when we had the opportunity, that was the name we came up with.
That's a good name, Mark. I like that one. So we got just 2 minutes left. Real quick, what separates a good inspector from a bad inspector? What would you?
Well, it comes down to experience. A good inspector will look at things and look at them in a light that shows the condition of the property. He'll spend time looking at those things and giving you a good opinion as to the condition of that object. A bad inspector will just kind of run through real quick and say, yeah, everything's okay. So it's really something that you need to spend time at. A home inspection is something that takes time.
So you should follow the inspector around, should you?
I always love to have the buyer or the seller at the inspection. They always have great questions to ask, and I always see something in a home that I never see before or again. So there are always very unique things with homes.
Well, we'll talk about that one later, but no kidding. I mean, there's got to be some great
always
stories.
Something new, yes.
But I think that's great that you'll let the customer walk with you. They can have a notebook or whatever, and you'll explain to them everything you see.
Absolutely. They always have great questions. And it's amazing that a lot of times people don't know where their furnace is at, or how the water gets to the house, or where the water shutoff is. So we always like to point those things out during the home inspection.
Is there a warranty you have too, or that comes with this? I mean, there's a big investment.
Typically, there is no warranty that the home inspector supplies. There are home warranties available at a cost.
Oh, okay.
And if you would like one of those as part of your home inspection, we can offer a whole home warranty in addition to the general home inspection.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, hey, we just got about 30 seconds left. We'll be back with Mark. We're going to listen to a few Bob Dylan songs. And again, we'll go with the Super Bowl party coming up. It'll be pregame show with Steve Willis and Steve Detterman. 1 to 4 p.m., and also a celebration of life for Alan Lowell. That'll be at the Phoenix at noon, and we'll have a live remote here. So the brigade coming up. So, again, this is Iconic Radio. We'll be back shortly. All right, we're back on the air with little Bob Dylan. Again, we're with Mark Modlin, Amerispec. Excuse me, got to get it tonight. You know, Mark brought up during break, we always have some great times, and it's National Radon. If I am I doing that correctly? Radon, or is it?
That's right. It's radon.
All right, it's Radon Month, and I tried Googling it up, looking up a little bit of it, but Mark, why don't you let us know what this is all about?
Okay, radon is something that you need to know if you have in your home. Radon is the number one cause of lung cancer in people that don't smoke.
Wow.
It's the number 2 cause of lung cancer in the country behind cigarettes. So you do need to know if you have it in your home. The United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, recommends that every home in the United States be tested for radon gas. The EPA has divided the United States up into 3 zones. Northern Indiana, well, for that matter, most of the northern United States is Zone 3, which is the highest zone for radon concentration.
Now, why is that? I don't mean to...
Well, for our area, it's because of the geographical location with the end of the Ice Age and the way that the granite stone was ground up and the type of stone that we have beneath our homes.
Okay.
So radon is just the natural decay of stone materials in nature. And as stone decays, it goes through several different things, and one of those things is radon. And radon has a half-life of about 3.5 days. So as it comes up into your basement, it lives for about 3.5 days and then dies off. It's not like natural gas where you get a huge amount of natural gas and then you have an explosion. Radon's not like that. It comes to a certain level, then it dies off.
So it's not flammable.
It's not flammable, but it is odorless, tasteless, and invisible. So you can't just detect it with your own senses. You need to have a radon professional test the home for radon.
And usually where you test it is in the basement, right? Because it comes from the ground up.
That's right. So the lowest level of the home usually has the highest concentration of radon gas.
Okay, makes sense.
So we at Amerispec, we have a national certification for radon testing, and we're also state licensed radon inspectors. So that's very important to have those two credentials with your radon inspector.
Okay.
So radon testing is something that's becoming more and more common, along with the general home inspection. So radon gas, we put a piece of equipment in the basement. It needs to run for 2 to 5 days. If it's a real estate transaction, 2 or 3 days. Okay, and so as the machine runs, it takes a sample of the air and it tests for the radon gas and makes a graph of it. Okay.
Yeah, you can adjust that. Here, we're fixing the mic. We're getting calls. They want to hear you better, Mark. Okay, didn't mean.
All
to
right.
interrupt.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Hope this is better.
Yeah. So the inspection, you come in. Let's go back. So there's 2 qualifications you need as an inspector. People should look for radon.
Right. So the 2 qualification is the national certification for radon testing and the state license for a radon inspector.
Okay. All right.
So we have those, and we perform radon tests regularly in Indiana. And you might find this interesting. Michigan has no requirements for those certifications. So we can go into Michigan. It's called reciprocal licensing. So we can go into Michigan and do radon tests also.
Okay. But like you said, you can't smell it. So really, we're at your service. I mean, every house have that done.
Every home in the United States should be tested for the presence of radon gas. And the real estate transaction is really the most logical place to do the inspection. Because typically the house is vacant, you're having other inspections done, and it's not an inconvenience to have that type of inspection done.
So let's say you get it done in February and there's no radon. When's the next time you should get it done?
Really, radon can fluctuate throughout the year. So you can have higher concentrations during weather events like rain and snow or high wind. You could have large concentrations of radon in your basement area. You can also have less concentrations, when it's sunny out.
Do pets get affected by it?
Pets are affected by radon just as we are.
Okay.
So they can develop the lung cancers from radon just like a human can.
Right. Okay. So if you don't not buying a house and you still want it done, that's something where they can get a hold of you.
Sure.
And come in and stuff.
Yep. You don't have to be selling a home to have a radon test.
Okay.
So and it's very important that that's done. You do need to know the levels in your own home.
Okay. What if you don't have a basement? What if you're just like a ranch level? Is that still?
It still is. So radon comes up through the ground. It comes up through crawl spaces. It comes up through slabs. It comes up through basements. So it'd be the lowest area of the home. So if you have a home that's built on slab, that would be the lowest area. So you
Gotcha.
can still get large concentrations of radon gas in the home from a slab or a crawl space.
Now, is radon just if you're walking in the street? Is radon coming up there too?
It is. So the EPA has set a magic number of 4, and their guidelines or their measuring is called picocuries per liter. So the magic number is 4 picocuries per liter. If your radon level is higher than 4, then some type of action should be taken, whether that be mitigation or a long-term radon test to go through the year or through several months of different types of weather. Also, the radon, just your question was outside. You get 0.04 picocuries of contamination just standing out in your backyard talking.
Okay.
So, and the average indoor radon concentration is 1.3 picocuries per liter. So if you have it above 4, and you have a mitigation system put in, which is a very simple thing to do today, anything below 2 picocuries is what we would hope to get with a radon mitigation system.
Gotcha. If, let's say, you get a house inspected, you get the radon test, and there's radon in there, then what should the buyer do?
Well, depending on what the level is, the inspector, the radon inspector, can make some recommendations. Typically, if it's over 4, we recommend that it be mitigated.
And what does mitigated mean?
Mitigated means that a licensed mitigation contractor installs a radon reduction system. And very simply put, it vacuums the radon out from underneath the slab of the home and exhausts it to the outside of the home. It's called sub-slab depressurization.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it gets all technical there sometimes. So the radon's exhausted to the outside of the home, therefore it's not coming up into the basement area, and your radon levels in the basement or lower level of the house are reduced.
Okay, so you suck it out, but can radon come right back up?
It does. This radon mitigation system runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a year, year-round.
All right.
So it's not a one-time deal. It's truly like vacuuming the radon out from underneath the house and just exhausting it to the exterior.
So, to me, from just hearing this is a very important inspection. If you're going to have radon coming up 24/7, 365 days a week,
it is a very important inspection, but it's not something to freak out over because it can be taken care of. We're doing this interview in a lower level of a building, and we could be exposed to a higher concentration of radon level just sitting here.
Yeah, well, that's true, and you wouldn't know it. How long does it take, when you say that it's cancerous or whatever? Would it be like years of it or?
Yeah, again, not a doctor, but everybody is susceptible to radon at different concentrations, so it just is how your body would handle that.
Now, how do they even discover radon?
Well, that's kind of interesting. Radon, that magic number of 4, goes back to a coal miner working in a coal mine 40 hours a week for 1 month. It's called a 1-month working level, and mathematically it all comes back to that number 4. So coal miners were getting radon cancer, or cancer caused from radon decay.
Oh, okay.
So that's just kind of how it all happened.
And then they discovered that even though you're down 200 feet in a coal mine, the radon is still coming up up on the earth and stuff.
It's from the natural decay of natural stones in the ground.
All right. Well, that was great. All right. We're going to take another break. We got the band coming. Iconic Radio. We'll be right back with you. All right. We're back on Iconic Radio. As I always do for Adam Nelson, a great friend of mine. He's the one that designed the menus, and I'm asking Mark, what do you think of the menu?
Hey, Bruce, the menus look terrific, man. They're bright and airy, and the food looks wonderful. As a matter of fact, I've eaten at your restaurant a couple of times.
I know.
More than a couple of times. The potato soup was particularly excellent, and breakfast is always my favorite.
Well, I appreciate it.
Great breakfast.
But I always appreciate Adam Nelson. Like I said, without him, couldn't have it going or the radio show. And also, he's got a great comedy this Friday. It's at Mr. G's. The show starts at 10 p.m., $5 cover. It'll be Brett Eastburn. He'll be the main comedy, and then Colton Cole will be starting up for him. So it'll be a great show. Go out and visit Adam and say hi to him and see the show. So, again, as always with this radio show, when we take a little break of the music, we come up with some great stuff. And you mentioned WDI, which is wood destroying insects. So what do we got there with home inspection?
Again, wood destroying insects is an integral part of a home inspection. Most lenders require a termite inspection, but it's really a WDI, wood destroying insect. And we look for 4 types of wood destroying insect damage. And that'd be termites, carpenter ants, powder post beetles, and wood boring bees.
Okay, what's the beetle? I've seen the bees and that, but I've never
the
seen
powder
the
post beetle, they really like damp areas. So they like crawl spaces and barns and sheds. And if you've ever seen what a shotgun blast can do, they leave all those little BB holes in woods when you shoot a shotgun.
Yeah.
The powder post beetle makes these real cool little 16th to an 1/8 inch round holes, and it looks like a blast from a shotgun. It's just a shotgun effect of holes all over the wood. And they literally turn the post to powder. They eat it from the inside, and it just turns to dust.
And how long does it take them to do this? I mean, is it...
Powder post beetles can work for a lot of years to turn an 8-inch by 8-inch post to dust, but, they'll work at it for 20, 30 years until it's gone.
Wow. Now, do these insects work together? Like you can have termites, beetles, everything in the same wood, or
they sometimes live in the same neighborhood, but they each kind of like something a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
Powder post beetles like the damp environment. Typically, the termites like a dry environment. Wood boring bees are mostly found outside, and they make this beautiful 1/2-inch drill hole in your siding.
I know.
It's just a beautiful little hole. And then carpenter ants also like a very wet environment. They like something that's been wet for a while. So a lot of times you'll find them in siding or under your shingles and on the roof. So they like a damp environment.
So it's really important when you're getting your house inspected to make sure this WDI is not involved in it, because it's not just a one-day get rid of it. I mean, it's a...
Right. And, they'll eat for years until your home is literally turned to forest dust. So it's important to have a wood-destroying insect inspection, and typically termites are what we're most concerned about, but these other insects we look for also.
Now, is there any signs, you just see, I can't think of a better word than blatantly, that just...
Sure. No, there are signs that you look for. Termites build these shelter tubes that kind of looks like a paper straw that goes up the outside of the house or up the foundation wall on the inside of the house. Okay. And sometimes those paper straws will fan out. And if you just knock a little hole in it, you can see the little termites running up and down the paper tube going from the wood of your house back down to the ground where they live.
So what are they doing? They're getting the wood as food and bringing it back down to the nest?
Exactly, right, exactly. And they return to the ground for moisture, and they bring that... the nutrients with them.
So you find a nest. How many termites would you say is in a nest? I mean...
bunches and bunches. One of the things that we do for termite inspection is we are licensed inspectors. We're licensed by the state of Indiana. And the Purdue Extension in West Lafayette has this really neat wood-destroying insect facility. And they've built a house in a field, or portions of a house in a field, and they've invited termites to live there. And they can just observe how the termites live in the ground and destroy the wood above. And it's really a fascinating process. They're really cool little animals. You just don't want them eating on your house.
Yeah,
they are something that we have to have in the environment because they take dead wood and they digest it and turn it back into nutrients in the soil.
So let's say I buy a house. I do have termites. What's my next move? when you say, hey, you got termites?
Yeah, your next move is to search for how much damage is done and then have treatment performed. Termites can be easily poisoned with a chemical, and it's called a barrier system. So the applicating company will put poison or a barrier around the perimeter of the home to prevent the termites from coming to the house and eating.
And how long does that last? If you get it done 1 year, are you good for 5 years?
You probably should have it done at inspection every 5 years.
Okay.
Just to maintain it. But a lot of times the treatment company will offer you a planned maintenance service where they come back out and they check on a yearly basis for a minimal fee just to make sure that they've done their job and that the termites haven't returned.
So even though you got that, the beetles, it's the same process for the beetles, the bees, and...
The beetles are a little bit more difficult to get rid of. If you have a major infestation in your home, you really have to tent the house. And
tent the house.
Put
a tent over the house.
Exactly, and just really poison them from a gas that's put in the house. There are some spray applied materials that you can spray on the wood, but again, I'm not a treatment contractor. I do the inspections.
Right.
So if you have termites or suspect you do, calling a treatment company is the first thing you do.
Okay, and you've done enough of these, so. Let's say I do have it. Do I go back to the realtor? Is it a process? I guess people would be wanting to know.
Right. Well, sometimes you have them, and sometimes during the process of the inspection, they're not there. So they can, just start to infest the house, and the inspector wouldn't have seen it because they weren't there at the time of the inspection.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things that I try to tell folks is an inspection is a snapshot in time of the general condition of the house. We can't be fortune tellers and say, in 4 days you're going to have termites. It's there when it's there or it's not there at the time of the inspection.
Right. And then, but like you said, you can also buy a warranty. So that snapshot, you can have, some kind of safety net, to have it. And it seems like it's a good idea to have a warranty, for your investment.
Yeah, home warranties are a good idea, and they're becoming more and more popular. If you're an inexperienced homeowner or don't have the technical skills to do maintenance, it's a good idea to have that home warranty. Home warranty is also a tool that sellers use to entice people to buy their homes.
Oh, okay.
So if you're selling a home, you can say, hey, I'm going to sell the home and I'm going to give you a 1-year home warranty. And that just kind of takes some of the angst out of buying the house. It's kind of a feel-good thing, and it does serve a purpose.
Now, if you're renting an apartment, can you get an inspection there too? I mean, is it...
We do inspections for people that have apartments. Typically, if they're afraid that there might be mold or mildew in the home, or if there might be carbon monoxide, and those inspections are also part of a general home inspection. But a lot of times renters will call and say, hey, I need to know if this is happening in my apartment. Or if they're renting an older home, is there asbestos in the home? Am I at risk of radon contamination? So a lot of times renters will hire us to do those types of general inspections also.
Boy, I think that's good for a renter, especially if you are renting an old home. Especially with the mold. I know we're going to be ready for a break, but when we get back, I'd love to talk about mold too. Just, it's everywhere, I guess. It's...
Yeah, you can go broke testing your home for things.
Well, you don't want to do that.
You hate to tell folks that, but yeah, if you tested for everything, it could be a multiple $1,000 inspection.
Right, but mold is a serious thing. So
it is.
All right, we're got some Boss Skaggs coming up. Again, we'll be back shortly. Again, this is Mark Modlin with Amerispec Inspection Services, and we'll be right back. Iconic Radio. All right, we're back on the air, Iconic Radio. Of course, we're sponsored by Iconic Cafe. Brenda made homemade chili tonight. And this weekend, she's going to have pulled pork sandwiches and sloppy joes. So that'll be all set for the weekend. Again, we're with Mark Modlin, Amerispec. I'll get that right. And, of course, as we were talking during the break with some Boss Skaggs, I wanted to bring up mold. So, Marky, let me know about the mold thing.
All right. Well, mold is everywhere. There's not a whole lot you can do. What you want to do is make sure you don't have more mold inside the home than there's outside the home. So molds need three basic things to thrive. They need moisture, warmth, and something to eat. The something to eat is always wood products. That would be like dry wallpaper, the wood floor joists, dusts on your walls. The trick to controlling mold is to control the moisture. So moisture comes from roof leaks, plumbing leaks, foundation leaks, and high humidity.
So that goes back to your beginning inspection about water being the most important.
That's right. So that's what we concentrate on is sources of moisture in the home. Condition of the roof, condition of the foundation, condition of the plumbing, and the humidity levels in the home. If you control those things, you can generally control mold issues within the building envelope or within the home. So molds are really fascinating. I find that I am allergic to Aspergillus penicillus, which is the green stuff that grows on bread. And that's the very beginning of mold issues in a home. All molds are carnivorous, so one mold eats another, eats another, eats another. And as the wood gets wetter and wetter, you get different types of mold formations.
Oh, okay.
So the bad guy, the black mold, is called Stachybotrys. It's really not usually black. It can be purples or greens or reds. It can be very unusual colors. But that's at the top of the food chain. It eats everything.
So when you see that, mold's been there for a while.
Yeah, and really there's no such guy like me that is a mold expert. Only laboratories are the experts. So if we see a suspect material or a suspicious mold growth or mildew growth, we take a sample of it, a physical sample, and we send it to a laboratory for analysis. Sometimes you can't see the mold, so you smell it. You get a smell, and that's the digestive enzymes of the mold, or in the trades we call that mold farts.
Okay.
So if you smell it, then there are air samples that we can take, and we send those air samples to a laboratory, and they will tell us if we are smelling a mold or if there's a mold growth inside the building.
How long does that take, the samples?
From start to finish, gathering a sample can take as little as 20 minutes, or it can take as long as an hour, hour and a half. And then the turnaround time is usually next day if we can send it out overnight to the lab.
Oh, great, because usually inspections are under the gun. People are ready and stuff. So
that's exactly right. And that's one of the things we strive to do is to do the inspection and get you the report.
Right.
We get it scheduled as quickly as we can, and we get you the results as quickly as we can. Whether it's a mold test or a general home inspection, you need to know that. For your own peace of mind.
So, me buying a house, I should. One of the first things I should do is get the inspection done.
Well, yes. When you buy a home, you have all sorts of things that you have to pay for. Some people are concerned about the cost of the home and whether they can finance it. So maybe that's the first thing you do is get an appraisal of the home to make sure you can get, have the funds available to buy the house. The next thing you might do is the home inspection. I tell folks to do the inspections on an as-needed basis. Let's do the home inspection first. If you like that result, then let's do other inspections that you might need. Maybe the termite inspection, maybe the radon inspection, maybe a mold inspection, and not spend, $500 to $1,000 on those inspections when you really can't get the financing for the house in the first place.
Yeah, good point.
So, yeah, that's what I counsel folks to do is to do these inspections one at a time. And try to keep it within budget.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that brings up mold. We had a caller call in, and he wanted to know about ancillary services, which you said, but
right.
It was about land development. Do you inspect like septics, wells?
Right. So anything that's involved with an existing structure, we can inspect for. It's a snapshot in time of the existing conditions of the structure. So we do septic inspections. We do well inspections. A lot of folks might have a swamp system that's a septic system where they digest their own bacteria, and that's how they get rid of their septic waste. So we do look at those things and can inspect for them.
Okay. So if you're just buying a piece of land, it's worth calling you up too. Getting the inspection on that? I
think a piece of land, maybe not so much.
Okay.
Really what we're most concerned with is the condition of an existing structure. That's about it. With a land development, probably not so much. There would be certain things that you would look for when you're buying land. That might be the percolation of the ground. How's it going to test for a septic system? You might also have a well sampling. You might also do a phase 1 or a phase 2 ground soil analysis to see if there's any contamination on the land. So those are some of the preliminary things you might do before you build a structure.
Right, but someone could call you for that information.
Absolutely,
too.
sure.
Okay, great.
And either I can provide the service or direct them to a person that could provide the service.
Well, that's great. That's great customer service with it. Back to the mold one last time. Even though you can have mold if you don't see it, right?
You can have mold even if you don't see it.
So how would you look for it then? It'd be by the smell, the odor, the dampness?
We take an air sample. So we have a machine that draws a certain volume of air into a filtered canister. We send that canister to the laboratory for analysis, and then the laboratory tells us what's in that canister, in that air sample. And we always take 1 or 2 samples inside, and we always take a sample outside. The outside sample sets the baseline for the mold in the house. So if there's more mold spores in the house than there were mold spores outside the house sample, then we know there's an unusual condition within the building envelope.
Now, what if you have mold on the outside of the house? Does that mean it's on the inside too? Or?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
That would just mean that maybe that's... A lot of folks have mold, mildew, fungus are about all the same thing. So a lot of folks will have a green fuzzy stuff growing on their siding, and that's because the house might be sitting in the shade. That siding is damp, and you get the mold growth on the siding or even on the roof.
Oh, okay. So, but you said it's nothing to get, it's serious, but not that drastic serious. I mean,
nothing to get overly excited about on the outside of the house.
Okay.
On the inside of the house, you do have to be concerned about that. Everybody has different types of allergies, and molds affect those folks in different ways.
Oh, okay. And that could be the sinus, what they have, or something.
Exactly.
And bring up
Yep,
and
they
stuff,
can give you all sorts of really weird feelings.
Well, Marky, we're running out of time. I want you to go over again the website and phone number.
All right. So, Amerispec Home Inspection Service. Our number is 574-259-2789. Or if you want to call me direct on my cell phone, same area code, 340-5672.
And your grandpa's famous...
My grandpa's famous words, whenever we went somewhere, he always said, we're going to have a look-see at this. So that's how we came up with the name Look-See Incorporated.
So you remember Look-See, you remember Mark for Amerispec. Wait, one last time for Bill McDonald. Phoenix Grill Open Jam tonight. Friday, Joe Feingold Project. Saturday, Art in the Artichokes. 5-Star Dive Bar has an open jam tonight. Johnny Sprocket on Friday. Attention Deficit on Saturday. Cheers Pub Open Jam tonight. Friday is Lost Hill Profits. And Saturday is Fortune 4000 DJ night. And Rock Sports Bar has Brian Blush on Friday. Again, this is Super Bowl Sunday. There's a Super Bowl pregame show with Steve Willis and Steve Detterman. That'll be from 1 to 4 p.m. And also, we're doing a live remote at the Phoenix Bar and Grill. That'll start at noon. And that is a celebration of life for Alan Lowell. So again, Funk and Groove will be back. Always want to appreciate the Iconic Cafe for sponsoring Iconic Radio. And again, Adam Nelson, again, he's got a great show coming up this Friday at Mr. G's. Brett Eastburn and Colton Cole will be the comedians. And it's $5 cover, and the show starts at 10 p.m. Adam, always appreciate it. And we'll be back next week on Thursday. So, Mark, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, Bruce. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to breakfast tomorrow.
All right. We'll see you then. All right. Iconic Radio.